Hello everyone, this is Matthew Bran. Thanks for tuning in to the Red Line Review. Today I'm doing a book review on Winter. This is the fourth book in the Lunar Chronicles series. If you haven't heard of it by now, the Lunar Chronicles series is a best-selling by Marissa Meyer. It's fantastic. This is the last book, so this may be some spoilers for the old books if you haven't read them yet. But it's not a good book to get into. You won't know any of the characters. Sometimes you can get into another book, start off later in the series, but you won't understand anything if you come in at this fourth book. So, moving on, Winter Fall. It's not my favorite book in the series. It's like my second to least favorite out of the four. So, this is like my third favorite book out of the series. So, it's not horrible. And actually, this is a very good series, so that doesn't mean the book is bad. It just has a lot of stuff in it that's unnecessary. It's a lot of filler, a lot of junk that they beat you over the head with. Like, okay, so Winter is a play off of Snow White. She's the fairest person in the land. This most beautiful girl with or without her hypnotic powers that they have in this story. A lot of women and men who live on the moon, the lunar people as they call them, they have hypnotic powers, and a lot of times they kind of just use it to make themselves look more beautiful because it's a very vain society. Anyway, she does not use her hypnotic powers, and even without them, she is the most beautiful person. Nobody's glamour or whatever can compete with her natural beauty. So her wicked stepmother, the queen, the evil person of the series, wants her dead. She becomes jealous of her. Plus everything else going on is making her paranoid and extra lash out in extra weird ways. This book does tackle a lot of things that you really want to know, gives you a lot of info, a lot of good stuff that I believe if you haven't read the prequel to this book, which is actually like a side story about Lavanna before she becomes queen. I forget what the name of it's called. I didn't really read it to be honest, but I believe it tackles everything that went on with Lavanna before she becomes queen and gives a little bit more insight on Winter, which things with Winter are a little more alluded to. But basically, she's crazy because she's not using her natural powers that she has. So she's doing good things and whatever. They do a play on Snow White. Like many of the books before, the Snow White premise, it doesn't hold this book back too much, but it does seem to veer in unnecessary directions. However, I will say that without that premise, this book kind of seems like it would not have carried its own story because unlike the other characters in the book, save for Scarlet, who I really didn't like before this book, um, all the characters, as a character-based book, they would have carried their own story to their own places. They're not, the characters carry their own, but Winter, she, in the book and also as a person, she's kind of a broken character. She's psychotic. Her brain does not work the right way. Not in the evil sense. Her brain just doesn't work. She's going mentally insane because she won't use her powers. So, granted that this is the case, without this fairest of them all, wicked stepmother trying to kill you narrative, they really wouldn't have a drive for her in the book to really push her into action with the rest of the crew. Once she's with the rest of the crew, things kind of take its own place. Now, one big thing that I did have with this whole entire book series, and especially since they're still doing it on number 4, is they make the characters stupid. Like, not mentally handicapped stupid, but really, really stupid. And they keep making the same dumb mistakes. You don't understand. They keep putting people in harm's way, knowing very well that the people can be hypnotized, controlled, whatever you want to call it. They can be glamored into doing whatever the enemy tells them to do. And instead of preparing for that, they just keep letting it happen. And it makes absolutely no sense, except for there's this big final colossal battle. I'm not going to depict on how Marissa Meyer wrote it very well. Writing's hard. Look, I get that part, but I just never got why she went out of her way to beat over the head stuff like, Winter is the prettiest, in the world. You can say that a few times and people will get it, or just write it in a different way where you're not repeating the same line. Other than that, the book went very well. Just had a lot of unnecessary parts in it that I felt could have been wrapped up a lot sooner. The end, once you get to the second half of the book, or like the last third of the book picks up really, really well. But it just has a lot of unnecessary parts in it that, one, they're predictable because they follow the Snow White tale, and two, they're there's not really much going on besides that. They're just building up for the war, and a big chunk of it is unnecessary, and a lot of the story is carried on by stupid stuff. You could pretty much, I'm not saying you can skip the first half, but what I'm saying is she could have pretty much skipped the first half by writing it. You wouldn't understand what was going on if she skipped the first half. Or I'm sorry, if you skipped the first half of the book. But the first half of the book, to me, in my opinion, is unnecessary. It's just kind of creating try-fail cycles that aren't needed anymore. Because of the first three books. Once again, this is the fourth book in the series. So because of the first three books, we already have a lot of these try-fail cycles of them figuring out that this is some certain things are a dumb idea. But with this, it just kind of makes no sense. It's just trying to make it so that the stakes are severely against them somehow. And to me, it kind of ruins a lot of the ending for me. But other than that, I think it's a fantastic book. I think she ended it on a really decent note. Some of the pluses in the book are Scarlet. She becomes a good character to me in this book, where before she was really, really stupid, a little too headstrong to the point of basically being suicidal. Thorn, he continues to be a fantastic character. Cinder, she continues to be a good character, but she does act a little dumb in this book. Wolf, once he continues to be a good character. Everybody really continues to be not only a good character, but even a better character. The stories, they progress. I don't think it ended as complete as I would have liked it to, but I think she has like a side or small book she plans on releasing to kind of wrap everything up more fully. But you get the idea of where everybody's going, where everybody's headed, and how how it really ended. They just don't really write it all out. Other than that, I love the book. I love the characters. Just a lot of filler for me. And the biggest plus side is, how everything progressed. The story was a good story, just had a lot of filler I wouldn't need. To me, how if a movie takes a lot of stuff out of the book that you don't, it's kind of unnecessary or will clog up the movie. To me, this is kind of like that. It had a lot of stuff even in the book that kind of clogged it up. You really didn't need it in there. But it was a great book. I highly recommend it. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Only 2 points off really because of the filler and the I think how the stupidity of the characters again. That's a really big thing for me. You can only act or play stupid. I think even little kids would figure, something's not going to work after you try it a couple times. And these are, older teenagers at the very least that are not figuring out, hey, you know, you can't keep sending people who get hypnotized to fight the people who hypnotize them. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for checking in, and I hope you have a fantastic day.